What's cracking? Drew's still in Greece. It's halftime. Special guest fell through. He got the date wrong, whatever. Screwed up. Went to the Cubs game, which should be in a shame of his own. I won't shame him too much. I would never shame Connor like that. I won't even mention who it is. Um, Weird first half. It is, yeah. We'll crack solo. We'll go live. We'll see what the Lions do here. It was looking like a 23 based on the live line. About like a -2.5 for the Eagles in the second half. Both teams moved the ball nice. Second half, first half under. Probably not lucky, but it should have been close, I guess, in my opinion. There was like 320, yeah. There's like 325 yards in the first half. Each team ran like 30 plays. There was red zones. Yeah, I said this at the end. I did a solo show earlier. Don't know how Chernoff does it. Just yapping to himself for an hour. It's exhausting, honestly. So, um, yeah, first half terrible, terrible third down efficiency. The teams combined to go 1 for 10, 1 for 2 on fourth down, and sometimes we get tilted by what we bet. No Lies is mad about the going for it. It's probably the right call in the long term. Those chip shot field goals, it's one of those too where you don't win games 3 points at a time when you get that close. So I like that he kicked it, or I like that he didn't kick it. I wish they had a little better play drawn up. Both running backs are getting chunks. I didn't think this was going to be the Ray McLeod show. That's not who I thought we'd see a ton of. I suppose maybe you try to take away some of the London and the Pitts and the other stuff. But man, he has like 4 or 5 targets. He had two. It feels like that. Okay, never mind. He's run the ball the once. 2 targets. They're just both like plays of consequence. I mean, I'm just seeing too much Ray on my feet. I was way incepted into him getting the ball too much. 2 for him, 3 for London, 1 for Algier. Bijan obviously running pretty well, 7.2 a carry without really breaking something super long yet. Jalen Hurts running really nice on the one drive. I don't know. Kirk still doesn't looks like he can not push off. That pass that was probably should have been intercepted on the sideline. First of all, just I believe it was London. Didn't sell it. Didn't sell that he was going to do anything but sit put in that spot. He didn't look like he was going to fake to go upfield hardly at all. So Quinion Mitchell just got to sit there and wait. And then you saw a ball with very little zip on it get out to the outside. And he probably should have picked that, if not housing it, taking it at least a little further down the field before he fell out of bounds. He does look like he was reading that play really well. Second half lines are like what, 22 and a half, 2.5. Let's see. I didn't have a lot of opinions on this game coming in. I understood some of the under money. Right now it's 22 and a half shaded to the over. Now it's shaded to the under. It's going that way. 2 shaded towards Philly. -2 for Philly in the second half. I don't know. I don't have a strong take on this one. Got my shit kicked out of me yesterday. We played an over in the second half. I think it was at 6 points. Never had a chance. The race to 15 markets, we could do a no one. London does have to come back to get that ball. Good point by Steve here. If only the Falcons had a couple of big athletic targets they could use in the red zone. I tend to agree it is Atlanta, as much as I do like Philly. Big question I wanted to answer coming into this game was how much of their secondary looking like absolute dog shit was that field playing, a good quarterback with good receivers, because it looked very bad at times from the secondary down in Philly. They're letting people get open. We saw what Kirk has to offer this week and last week. He's finding people, and outside of the one pressure that really got home, obviously it got negated by a penalty, but they're not getting a ton of pressure on him. I'm not sure what the halftime adjustment is, if it's going to be good, but yeah, I'm just thinking of the math here. So Atlanta winning by, or Atlanta losing by 3 or less here. 3 is a push. So if we lose by field goal, I know sometimes scores get weird when we're sitting at a 1 point, but I think a cheap I'm kind of waiting for it to go to 2.5 because it wants to. There is some money coming up on Philly, and I'm fine being on the other side of that. Maybe you guys have a different line. Maybe you already have 2.5. I'm seeing -2, -15, -102 on the other side. If 2.5 pops, I kind of like that. It feels like Atlanta's going to win this game the way they are moving the ball. I think being less than aggressive in the red zone, kind of the opposite of Sirianni, might bite them. Love Sirianni going for it. Felt just obvious when they got that longer chunk of a 4th and 4. It's like that's just such an obvious go for so many smart teams. And then Bajan is eating in multiple facets. Does this result affect the Saints Eagle total next week? No AJ Brown over 45 and 48.5 looked nice earlier. Probably drops, right? What if the second half ends up just being like a 10-3 second half one way or the other, 10-7, 7-6 again, even 10-10 that stays well under the full game and the second half. It feels like that might be on the other side of 48. Atlanta does get the ball first. That's another nice little bonus. It's flashing, but it won't go. Yeah, it's starting to come back the other way. So looks like it's Atlanta +2 for me. We'll take that. And as is tradition, starting yesterday, just a smidgen on the money line. I don't know how to smell that. Smidgen? That looks right. Smidgen. Yeah, the Saints obviously are looking like a truck right now. I would play a little more, seeing what they did to Carolina, seeing what they did to the Cowboys. I just do the no doubles, keep everything in front of you, stop the big play, kind of zone in on Kamara, see if you can keep them from doing, doing the thing where they just go for 70 yards on a play. I'm not sure they can compete just the way they look right now, but at the same time, if that game is slow, maybe we don't get anywhere near the 48 anyway. Putting Summer Soldier on the screen just because he has a good what do you call it? Avatar. Love Peep Show. 4-non, Jeremy. It's probably my favorite British show. Pretty good stuff there. Seth says the Falcons back door are very live. They did look good. They looked good on that last drive. If Kirk can just not foul this up for me. We need some more pass rush. We need some you see, all my props are on Goddard. I think he has 3 targets, only the 1 catch. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, if a unit's 100, how much is a smidgen? I went a quarter of what I would bet on the side on the money line. I don't like to go too nuts. I hate going, the same amount on both, and you get it home and you don't win a damn dollar. So, yeah, smidgen is a quarter in this case. I don't think it's not a set in stone percentage. Changes. Sometimes it changes based on how much is in your account. I don't know how many people do the, if you want to bet $50 on something, but your account ends in 53.80. Like, I don't know if other people do because it's never going to end up staying on a round number, but I'll do that a ton if it's close to something where I'll bet 53.80 now. I like to round down to an even. I know people who do that, so I'm not the only one with the OCD on that. I don't know any other takes on this one. See, Achilles does that. Patrick says, I thought London would be targeted more in this game. Yeah, he has 3 targets, 2 catches. He has that one nice longer one. That one. No, that was a catch. What was the Eagles catch in the middle of the field where he was drifting towards the left sideline? That probably wasn't a catch. Like when they showed that, like this is why they got to the line so quick. I really think if they'd have taken a look at that, they would have pulled that one back too. So yeah, Pitts is on the milk carton. Pitts has 1 catch for 1 yard, long of 1 on 2 targets. He's got 2 targets. That's something. The Baboon Skull has not been consulted on this link. I will ask him when I get home what he thinks of Thursday Night Football. That's not a fun one to look at all. Patriots looking a lot better, a lot more competent than I'm gonna have to change it so it doesn't say Timberwolves then. Yeah, it's Timberwolves scarf. We'll do it so it's just the green. Yeah, Patriots looking a lot more competent than I thought they would. The Jets coming along. Rodgers isn't that bad, but the defense isn't what I thought it was going to be. I don't have any Champions League looks yet. I'll have to lean on I'm so out on soccer this time of year because there's so much going on with football. Drew, I can't remember which island he's on. It's not the one that starts with M. It's a different one. He sent some pictures. Go on his Twitter. He sent a couple, but he is in Greece for the duration of this trip, I believe. I don't think he was going to pop to anywhere else. I'll yell at him. I got to talk to him tomorrow. I'll tell him to post some more pictures. It's terrible about that. If you're going to go somewhere beautiful, post about it. Are the Eagles a current downgrade if second half holds steady? If they don't cover the second half but eke one out, I feel like the market won't downgrade them much. If they lose to a team that looked pretty bad last week after, playing a weird one in week one that I think a lot of people didn't know what to make of, it's probably a downgrade. And then that makes the NFC East pretty interesting. So you got two just dog shit teams that aren't going to compete. But if Dallas and the Eagles are like these third or fourth kind of rated teams in the NFC, or maybe even further down, it's going to be interesting because you're probably going to end up with both of them in the playoffs. And they're both, sitting around 9, 10, 11 wins, something like that. And they both have glaring weaknesses here and there. I still am not quite sure what we're going to make of the Cowboys offense. Who is the best NFC team? I mean, it's probably still just the Niners. Debo and CMC matter, and that loss stinks, but I wasn't able to downgrade them below. I have the Niners first, Philly second, Detroit third, Dallas fourth. Your fifth best NFC team in my current rating is the Minnesota Vikings. That is, we'll see how long that holds on. From there, it is Seattle, Tampa, New Orleans, Atlanta are all pretty tight. New Orleans, I still just don't know how high I need to make this offense. I changed it a bunch, and I still don't know if I'm high enough. I kind of set that aside for tomorrow, where I wanted to dig in on just how much I would upgrade Derek Carr when I want to compare it to where I started my quarterback numbers with the rest of the good quarterbacks preseason. Because, right now, what would you guys – New Orleans and Seattle plays on a neutral. I'm not making it a pick 'em. I think New Orleans is favored in that, so my number's clearly wrong here. We'll go – if we take that up to a 7, New Orleans, maybe a 2.5 better than a neutral – it makes New Orleans like the 11th best team. Still feels low, but it's such a small sample, guys. Like, we've seen this. I know it wasn't 2 straight 40-point games, but anyone remembers Sam Darnold when he played for the Panthers? Like, oh, this is a fun team. This is a good team. They might win a bunch of games. And it just fell apart. So I do think, I think on a neutral, I would make New Orleans 2 points better than Seattle right now. So I have some question marks there. So that's about right. If we make Seattle that, we make New Orleans that, I think we can drive with that number. Maybe 1.5. We'll say it's maybe about 1.5. Who knows? They might just continue to be a truck. They might just keep winning games, scoring 40 points. Fountain youth for Kamara. When you see this, when you see teams do this where they kind of come out of nowhere and play this well, you got to hit on your draft picks and you got to hit on your it is overtime. I can't put that. It's going to go right in front of my face, though. Yeah, my Seattle number is complicated because it's very hard for me to judge based on who they've played against right now. It's a hard stylistic matchup playing against the Patriots, and then I really don't know what to make of the Broncos right now. So my Seattle number is probably a little high. I forget where I was going there. Oh, I mean, you got to hit on your draft picks. You got to hit on a free agent. You got to hit on something like that. So I think obviously Kubiak counts. Bringing in an OC that is a massive, massive upgrade over, a guy that was just kind of there for 10, 15 years with the old regime. And then the young offensive lineman is looking pretty good so far. And the fact that they're getting anything out of Penning, who, I kind of thought that might have been a throwaway pick after he didn't really pan out immediately. And there was not only just not panning out, there were some issues too. So, Falcons driving. Maybe we should stick around for a little bit here. Kind of want to just go to bed. I am gassed after today. But yeah, my Atlanta Falcons driving right down the field. I kind of need Bijan not to score for SGP, fantasy, everything. I would like him to play a little worse. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen. I don't know any other hot takes. If you want to know my AFC ratings from the top, it is still Kansas City. They won. It is still Baltimore number 2, despite the loss. But the gap sitting between Baltimore and Houston, Buffalo, and the Jets is very small. Kind of just a bunch of them there. And then after that, it is Cleveland, the Chargers, the Colts, the Dolphins. Obviously, the Dolphins would have been a lot higher. Huge, massive downgrade in quarterback there. Cincinnati is right there behind them. And then you get into the dregs of the league. Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Vegas, Tennessee, Denver, New England. And that is it. My bottom 3 are all NFC. Carolina, Washington, Giants. One of those team won this week, but only because they played a different one. Who's 25? Who was that just ran the ball? Algier? Jesus. Yeah, I'm still in answering question mode, and my Philadelphia defensive questions, I think, are starting to get answered. They're not getting off blocks. They're getting kind of pushed around. Red Rocket Time's fun, too. I don't know what to do with my Carolina number at all. Like, as far as that goes, it's an upgrade. Clearly, the market thinks it's an upgrade. I would have agreed even if the market hadn't moved, it needed to be an upgrade. But, like, how much of an upgrade from, the floor for a guy who, I don't know, he's going to give you something, at least. I think it unlocks a little bit of Deontay, Thielen. Those guys aren't great, but they're good. Yeah. The Dolphins, I don't know if it is the agent or whoever, but whomever is doing like the PR for Snoop Huntley, every time he's mentioned by Schefter or any of the reportings, is always mentioned that he's a Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley, former Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley. It is wild. And yeah, the market, I was actually more interested in the over. I ended up staying away from everything. I'm going to look at that, but the market got beat up hard. People were dying to grab 7s with him, which, I mean, I said it on the preview podcast for the week, or the recap podcast. I kind of wanted to fade the Raiders as well, but when I looked at my numbers initially, it's like, shit, at 7, the Raiders are a bet. Like, I don't want to do that. I'm not sure I want to get something like that going in my portfolio. All right. Well, Cousins crushed on 3rd down and medium. I want to see who broke through. Oh, I mean, the center just got waxed on a nice. That was just a nice move. He swam under him. Good job for him. Field goal, 9-7. This is a good final score for everybody, I think. Let's go Falcons. I'll catch you guys Wednesday. And I mentioned this on the other show. Drew is going to join me for the Wednesday show. We might hustle a little more so I don't take 2 hours of his vacation. But he'd said ideally like 8 p.m. Grecian time, 8 p.m. Athens, which I believe is noon Central, 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. So a little earlier, which also if you're European, looking at you, Food Snob Frog, you can join in the live chat, which you don't get to do very often. So If anything changes, I will mention that on the at Deep Dive Pod Twitter account. I'll put it in the Discord. So far the Smidgen is winning. Let's go Falcons. See you guys. Yeah, good point. Drew might be pissed up. Just full of wine. Dionysus, man.